not the way you want to lose, but obviously kids are deflated, coaching staff's deflated, our town up there is deflated, and on and on and on. And so, I've still got to talk to them in the locker room. And, I'm in my mind, there's a lot of emotions. There's,
Sure.
there's
You could take the high road, you could take the low road, you could take the middle road.
so many roads. And so in my thought, I thought, well, unfortunately, this kind of thing, whether it's basketball or a workplace environment or family or something, things like this are going to happen in life. And it's how do you rebound from that? Do you just sulk in it and let it define who you are, or do you pick yourself up because there's a new day tomorrow and you've got to move on to prepare for what's next in life?
Time out. Let me ask you this. What if the gap between where you are today and where you want to be isn't talent? It's how you're training when no one's watching. That's what this studio podcast is all about. We don't chase motivation. We don't hype potential. We build identity through habits, standards, and systems. This is where student athletes, parents, coaches, and leaders come to sharpen how they think, prepare, and perform. I'm Coach Randy, and this is the Built Different Studio Podcast. What if I told you the moment that could have broken you was actually the moment that built you? What's up, family? Coach Randy here. Welcome to the Built Different Studio Podcast, where we don't just talk about success, we train it. Mindset, systems, habits. This is where champions in school, sport, and life are made. Let's lock in and let's build. Family, today we've got someone in the studio who understands resilience at a different level. Sam Hale is the athletic director and facilities manager at Lone Grove Public Schools, but more importantly, he's a builder of people, a former coach who's lived through one of the most emotional, pressure-filled moments you'll ever see in sports, and chose to turn it into a lesson, not a limitation. What I respect most about Sam is this. He doesn't just talk about work ethic. He lives it every day, quietly, consistently, without excuses. He's led athletes, mentored young people, and built relationships that go far beyond the game, preparing them not just for competition, but for life. So today, we're talking resilience, we're talking perspective, we're talking what it really means to keep moving forward when life hits you hard. Family, help me welcome Sam Hale. Welcome, Sam. Welcome to our show.
Glad to be here.
We're excited to have you today. Before we dive in, I want to start with you. Not your resume, not the highlight reel. You. For everyone listening, tell us who you are, your story, your roots, and the moments that built you. Because every champion has a beginning, and I want to hear yours.
Well, my name is Sam Hale. I have lived my whole life practically here in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Background a little bit. My mother was very young when she had me. She had me at 16 years of age.
Okay.
More or less was raised by my grandparents. And so, I always, and I've had several friends that were like that. Could have had that mentality of, poor pitiful me and all of that. But I think what it actually did was give me the structure and the discipline that I needed to prepare to go out in the world. My grandpa, World War II veteran, worked at the telephone company. My grandma was a homemaker, and obviously back then things have changed a little bit, but back then, you no questions asked, you did what you were supposed to do. Sure. So I learned at a pretty early age, walk the straight line and everything. I think where a lot of people would have fought back against that, I loved it. It gave me discipline, structure, like I said, that I needed to continue in life. Married, have 2 children. They're both in college right now.
What colleges do they go to?
At OSU. Yeah. One is he's going to be a coach and a teacher. My wife,
amazing.
she's a former teacher. She's now a child development center director. My daughter is wanting to do. She thought about teaching, but I think she might get into speech language pathology as well.
Okay.
So something along the.
They're both at OSU.
Both at OSU right now. So
Amazing. Now, I love that because one of the things I also do is college planning, and I love seeing high school students get into college and continue their education because I'm a firm believer knowledge is power for sure.
yeah, for sure.
All right, it's cool, Sam. You've talked about work ethic being the standard that defines your life.
Mhm.
If you look back to being raised by your grandparents, like you shared, what were those early moments that wired you to believe that success comes from what you're willing to put in? And how can young athletes build that same foundation today?
Oh, just around the house. I mean, this may not make sense to a lot of people, but for me, it was concreted in my mind. We had a wood stove in the house, and we would go cut firewood, fill up the back of a truck, come back, and just basically just throw it off and out into this area. And when you got out there, everything was just chaos. There was wood pieces everywhere, and Grandpa said, "Well, now get busy." And early I didn't understand what that meant, but that meant start stacking it and cleaning up out.
Okay.
And when I got through the first time, I can remember being young and doing that. When I got through with it the first time, I looked around and the chaos and the disorganization was gone, and the finished product was in front of me. We had a stacked wood pile. All of the stuff was cleaned up around it, and it was back to how it should look. And I felt like like a sense of ownership within that.
Sure.
That I didn't really get at first. And I thought, well, we cut the wood, we just throw it off, everything's done. And no, you've got more to do. You've got more to do to get to where you want it to be. And then after that, obviously it shrunk down, and you had to carry the wood in for the fire that night, and then you had to go cut more wood and stack it back up. So there was always in my mind, there was always an end result that would happen from the work that you put in right here to get to where you wanted to be.
Yeah. Now that foundation in terms of cutting firewood, get busy that you just talked about and shared with us, it's powerful because not everyone develops that kind of mindset early. So let's take that mindset and apply it to the moments where things didn't go your way. You were part of one of the most intense endings in high school basketball history. And on the losing side,
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
moment when everything could have defined you negatively, how did you mentally reframe it to become fuel instead of frustration? And what system can athletes use when their own zero point 0.7 second moments? And explain some of that background as well to our audience members.
Boy, yeah, that was something else. We were behind 54-52 in the state championship game.
State championship. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and there was, I believe, when we came down, there was under 10 seconds left. We'd called a timeout. We drew up a play. We were originally trying to dump the ball inside. Because they were calling some fouls, and I thought we might get a foul call in here and manage to tie it up and go into overtime and everything. But that wasn't open, and so they were in a 1-3-1. We skipped it from the right wing to the left wing.
Okay.
Left wing shoots it, gets fouled, the bucket goes in, so it's 55-54, but the foul happened, and I guess some of our bench thought they heard the buzzer go off. We had one girl come on the court. It was a dead ball. She goes back to the sideline. Then we had another one come on, and I'm trying to get over here and get them because I'm near half court to get them back to where they need to be.
So wait, at that point, you guys are up one now?
We're up one, 55-54 with 7/10 of a second to go. The foul has been called. So we get fouled. So we go to the free throw line. We make one, 56-54.
2-point lead. 0.7 seconds left. Things are looking great.
Yeah, they come down the court. They shoot their two free throws, make the first one 56-55, miss the second one, so it's still 56-55. They get the ball at half court now because of the technical. Throw it in, girl catches, releases it, 36-40 footer goes in at the buzzer, they win 58-56.
Goodness.
Yeah, and
Okay.
of course,
And so I need to see the tape, but
yeah, yeah.
that technical, was it warranted? Obviously from your end, no, but
Yeah, and I've seen, and I've seen it both ways. I've seen several things in the NCAA, I believe it was the Dayton St. Louis
okay.
conference championship game where a coach and a player come on the court with time left after a made basket, no technicals called, they push them back to the bench and I've seen other instances. So either way, it is what it is. It was called and that was the game, and
Yeah.
not the way you want to lose, but obviously kids are deflated, coaching staff's deflated, our town up there is deflated and on and on and on. And so, I've still got to talk to them in the locker room. And, I'm in my mind, there's a lot of emotions. There's,
Sure.
there's
And you can take the high road, you could take the low road, you could take the middle road.
so many roads. And so in my thought, I thought, well, unfortunately, this kind of thing, whether it's basketball or a workplace environment or family or something, things like this are going to happen in life. And it's how do you rebound from that? Do you just sulk in it and let it define who you are? Or do you pick yourself up because there's a new day tomorrow and you've got to move on to prepare for what's next in life? And so my basic message in the locker room was none of us like what happened, but we can't let this define us because you to realize where we're at right now, there would have been 62 other teams in the state that would have gladly been trading places with us to be in that championship game, but they weren't there and we were. And so you got to look at where you're at right now and go back and look to where you've been, all the hard work and effort and blood, sweat, and tears it took to get to that point to even have a chance to be in the championship game. Because third quarter of the semifinal game, we're down by 10 heading into the fourth quarter, outscored the team 30-10 in the fourth quarter to even be in the championship game.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, you look at it and you can blame refs and you can do this and you can do that. And I'm like, there were free throws we could have hit earlier on. There was turnovers so there's always, you can't just pin it on one moment.
Yeah.
And it happened and we've got to get better and grow from it and just realize that this is not the end of the world. This is not going to define us in life. We've got to stand up because we're all going to face those times of turbulence in life, and you've got to recover from it.
All right, let's pause right here for a second. I want to ask you something. If nothing changed over the next 6 to 12 months, would your student athlete be more confident, more prepared, closer to their goals, or still hoping things just work out? That's exactly why Athletic Connect is the primary sponsor of this show, because the difference we see, it's not talent, it's structure, it's mindset, it's having a real system. Inside Athletic Connect, we help student athletes build confidence, discipline, and a clear plan from daily habits to performance to creating a digital identity that actually gets noticed by colleges. And this isn't just basketball. This is for student athletes in every sport who are serious about their future in the classroom, on the court, on the field. So here's the move. Go check out athleticconnect.com and see how we're helping athletes become built different in sport, in school, and in life. All right, let's get back to the show. Perspective right there, that's what separates people who stay stuck from people who grow, right? Being able to move on and go on, not letting one negative thing define who you are. You mentioned that no matter how hard things get, there's always a way forward. If a student athlete feels stuck right now, mentally or emotionally, what are the first habits or daily actions they should implement to regain momentum and clarity?
I think sometimes just being able to feel like you can talk to people, talk to someone to get a lot of what's out of you. And whether that's me as the coach, whether that's the school counselor, the guidance counselor that we have here or wherever the school may be, or find somebody that you can get a lot of the stuff that's built up in you just out in the open so that you kind of have a plan to go off of. I think a lot of times I feel like a lot of people, they just don't have that. They don't believe in themselves enough.
Okay.
They're always going to find the negative to dwell on. And I'm like, look, you can look at the glass half full or half empty, one of the two, and that's going to be totally up to you. But I believe that to finally get yourself up to where you need to be, one is you got to be able to be willing to talk about it, but you also have to be willing to believe in yourself that, maybe my best isn't scoring 30 points in this game, but maybe my best right now is to be the best teammate that I can be, and just finding a route where you can take that type of road or type of mentality to start believing in yourself. And then I think once you start believing in yourself somewhat, you can start making advancements to get to the next plateau and the next one and the next one. But planning things out too, that has a lot to do with it, I believe.
That's important. And I love how you stated that in terms of the power of believing in yourself in order to build yourself is important, because if you don't believe in yourself, your mind is going to start thinking you're not good enough and you can't do it as well.
Mhm.
As a coach and now an athletic director, you've emphasized relationships and preparing athletes for life beyond the game. How do you intentionally build that trust and connection so athletes are not just performing, but actually growing into leaders, parents, and professionals?
I think you have to have you got to be willing to invest in that person. I
Okay.
say the kid or the student. I know when I was at Walters, which was Walters, Oklahoma, which was the place we talked about the unfortunate game.
Yeah.
Um, just investing in those kids, going to things that they did. Softball games. I mean,
Yeah.
show up to a softball game to let them know, hey, I'm interested in what you're doing here, not just basketball, which I coach.
Okay.
Talking to them, hey, what's going on in life? What'd you do this weekend? Did y'all go watch a movie? Just where you're on a more personal level with them, to where they know you care about them as a human being, not just as a basketball player or as a softball player or whatever. I still have, girls from that team, and that's, that was over 20 years ago, or right around 20 years ago. We have a group text. We all, when there's like the St. Louis Dayton game comes up the other
Yeah.
day with that play in it, one or two of those girls will send out a text message like, did anybody see this game? What is our thoughts on this compared to our game way back? And so we still have that bond and connection all of these years later. You go to their weddings and stuff like that. And I think once you do that with people, there's that connection and bond and a trust that's there, that they feel good moving forward. They also feel like they can talk to you. And that you'll give them sound advice about life and everything in it.
No, I love that. I love that. Investing in that person and building those important relationships, that's a long-term vision, and that takes commitment. That takes time, and that's rare because a lot of people focus only on the scoreboard or the specific team that they're coaching in and nothing else, right? And it ties
Yes.
directly into something deeper, perspective and appreciating the journey. You said something powerful, that you can't truly appreciate what you've accomplished until you reflect on where you've been. If you could give one mindset shift to the next generation that would help them stay grounded, hungry, and built different, what would it be?
Ooh, boy, that's a tough question. Just to stay hungry. I always, my grandpa he gave a lot of different types of advice, but, playing when I was in high school, of course, you have these dreams of MBA or college or whatever it may be. He always would remind me, he said, no matter how good you think you are, there's always going to be someone better.
Yeah,
And he said,
yeah.
and I'm not talking better as far as talent or anything like that. He said, I'm talking better that they're going to work harder and they're going to keep doing more than what you're doing. He said, so when you have that mindset that, well, I'm the best, always someone around the corner that's going to be better because they want to be better than you're being.
Can you,
What is that?
Sam? Can you state that phrase again that your grandpa said? How does that phrase go?
Oh God, what did I say? He just said, you know, when you think you're the best thing that there is, he said, remember, there's always somebody that's better. Maybe not talent-wise, he said, but there's always going to be someone out there that's willing to work harder and do things more than what you're putting into this.
Got it.
He said, so when you think you're the best, he said, look around the corner. Somebody's going to be there trying to be better than what you're being.
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, well, I'm not going to let that guy from over there outwork me. I better shoot more shots. I better practice my dribble.
Sure.
And he would just always kind of encourage you to do that, though. It would never be anything where you felt forced to do it. He would encourage.
I love that. Even just look around the corner, right? Now you know what that means. And that right there, that's a message that people need to hear more than once in terms of not settling for, complacency, or, you're not always going to be at that same point. You need to always get better. I always hear the phrase 1% better every day, right? And if someone really applies that, that actually changes things on a daily basis. Sam, we covered a lot of information, a lot of gems that you shared as well. I want to open up the mic for you. I'll give you an opportunity to share anything you would want to with our audience members, our listeners. It could be something we've already covered. It could be related to your grandparents. It could be related to the game, anything. Is there anything you'd like to share with our audience members?
I know the one thing that I always found too, as far as being a coach, a teacher, administrator, everything like that, is I think you have to be pretty genuine as well.
Okay.
They'll always tell you the ones that can see through you the quickest are kids. They can tell if you're being a fake or whatever.
Yep.
So I've seen people that I've known, and not just in education, but in life in general, that it's almost like they're trying to be something they're not.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just go be who you are. Go be who
I love
you
that.
are. Don't put on a fake facade or anything like that. Just go be who you are. Be genuine. And you're not always going to make it where everybody likes you, so to speak, or whatever. But as long as you're true to who you are, the standards that you believe in and everything like that, that's all you can do in life, in my opinion.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That's powerful.
Teaching.
Yeah. I love that. Sam, I appreciate you for sharing your story, your perspective, and your leadership today. This is exactly what Built Different looks like. Go be who you are. Right, family, that was powerful. Sam didn't just talk about adversity. He showed us what it means to rise above it. Work ethic, perspective, resilience, and the ability to keep moving forward when life gives you every reason to stop, even 0.7 seconds, right? He's lived it from unforgettable losses to leadership roles. And what stands out is his commitment to growth, no matter the circumstance. So if you're an athlete, understand this. Your response to adversity will define your future. If you're a parent, the environment and guidance matter more than the outcome. And if you're a coach, relationships are the real legacy, right? Being genuine, just like Sam said. If you're serious about helping your athlete develop the mindset, structure, and habits to handle adversity and perform at the highest level, then you have to understand this. In order to accomplish long-term success, you need exactly the right mindset systems, structured habits, and a clear developmental roadmap. Sam, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We sure appreciate being on here.
All right. Perfect. Cool. So, Sam, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have my team, they're going to edit the audio, video. Hopefully it comes out okay on Google. We don't really record on Google just because of the delays and everything, but hopefully I think it should be okay. Sam, thanks again for your time, your insight. I'm sure you're going to have, made an impact on any of our listeners that heard this today. And I love your phrase in terms of, being genuine. That's so important. Like you said, kids will see that. I'm going to put this on a t-shirt. Go be who you are. And that's powerful, right? Go be who you are. And if you really know what that means, there's a lot of meaning behind that. We'll put that on a t-shirt. We'll sell it online and make millions and millions of dollars.
Absolutely.
Thanks again for your time. I appreciate it. Take care, and I'll reach out to you in a couple of days or so.
Okay. I sure appreciate it, Randy.
Okay, thanks again. Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye. And this is where Athletic Connect comes in. Through tools and services like the Victory Compass, Power Hour, Mindset Mirror, Goal Sync, Fight On Mentality, Built Different Mindset, and the College Pathway Intelligence, athletes and families get more than inspiration. They get a real framework for growth, a framework that helps them gain clarity, develop elite habits, strengthen their mindset, and make smarter moves for the future. If today's episode resonated with you, don't just listen and move on, apply it. Watch and listen to the Built Different Studio Podcast on all major podcast and video platforms, including Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And if you believe your story, your leadership, or your journey can impact the next generation, visit www.athletic.connect.com. That's with an IQ, and fill out the application to be on the show. This is bigger than content. This is about building champions in school, sport, and life. Handle today with intention. That's how champions are built. Fight on. Remember this, family. Talent might open the door, but your mindset, your habits, and your discipline decide how far you go. So keep showing up, keep building, and keep choosing the harder road, because that's the one that makes you built different. I'm Coach Randy, and this is the Built Different Studio Podcast.